Hey guys, this is Amanda from devotioninaction.com, and I've got a dirty cup of water, a clean cup of water, a couple of paintbrushes, and my kids' watercolors, from their art set. And I am just trying my hand at watercolors today in Joshua 10. This is the story of God stopping the sun and the moon in their tracks so that the Israelites can win the war with the Amorites. So he's giving them victory. And I have worked with watercolor pencils and really love them, but I haven't done a lot of work with actual watercolors. So I'm just giving it a try, having a little bit of fun with this. And you'll see me check to see there if it's bleeding through. It wasn't at that point, and because I've worked with watercolor pencils and I haven't had any trouble with them at all bleeding through, I just kept on going. Well, evidently I'm a little more heavy-handed with the water when it comes to real watercolors than with watercolor pencils. So mistake number one that I made today was that I should have page prepped with some clear gesso just to make sure that wouldn't go through to the other side of the page, but I didn't, and it does bleed through to the other side of that page. I did catch it in time to where it wouldn't bleed all the way through to the page across from the one before, but so I can just clear gesso that. All is not lost, and put something darker or tip in over that when I do the page before this one. So it's not the end of the world, but I wish I would have thought to prep the page with some clear gesso. You'll notice that I'm laying down some light yellows and then increasing in, I don't know, the depth of the hues to the oranges and the red oranges, and the darker hues, the reds, oranges, and the oranges are going to be more concentrated toward the bottom left hand side of the picture, and the lighter yellows are concentrated toward the upper right hand side. So that, I think, adds a little more interest to this little watercolor doodle. And this little sun, I don't remember where I saw one, but at one point I saw an image similar to this where there's a large sun center, then dashes, then polka dots around the outside. If I knew where I'd seen it, I would totally give that person credit. So if you happen to know where this doodle came from, if you would comment on it, that would be great. I'd love to give that person credit. Something similar to this. I saw it, and then when I was planning this page, I remembered that I had seen something like that and wanted to do a little kind of stylized sun doodle there. This is the moon, and you can't really see where I put down the white paint, but you can see that it's wet because when I daub the black on there, it kind of spreads out into the water. And then I dabbed that with the paper towel, and it makes kind of different darknesses of gray, so some different shades of gray there, but not the bad kind, to create the craters of the moon. So this is a big moon, and now because you can't see the outline of that white on the moon, I am taking that same black, but then I got some of the paint off of it onto a paper towel to let me use the gray. Okay, so that's what I'm doing when the paintbrush disappears from the view. This is a tiny little paintbrush, and I'm just going to get some of that black and taking some paint off of it onto a paper towel, and then coming around the edge, feathering that in, trying to make it a little softer, that line, to where you can see the line. And again, the darker colors are kind of concentrated toward the bottom left, lighter colors up toward the upper right on this moon as well. Now, I think probably because I didn't prep the page with some gesso, it does kind of feather out when you look at zoom in on the still setting at the end of the video. It kind of, you can see that the watercolor kind of spread a little bit. This is after I let that dry for a while, fed the family dinner, and then came back to it. And I had put that paper towel underneath the page because I noticed that it was bleeding through, and I wanted it to not get onto the other page across from this one behind it. And I'm sitting here doing the pencil work before I go over to micron pen for the word art, and I'm wondering why it is being so difficult. Why can't I write on this? It feels so strange, and it took me almost through the entire page to realize that that paper towel was creating a spongy surface, and my pencil was kind of sliding around, and so that was see, there you go. I just noticed. It took me a really long time. Anyway, the word art here says, "Do not fear. The one who rules the sun and moon is on your side." So I think that's a really encouraging sentiment that the God who spoke the sun and moon into existence, the one who wrote the laws of nature that govern them, the one who can put them on pause when the occasion arises that it needs to be done, he is the God that we serve. And he is on our side. When we choose his side, he's on our side and he has our backs. So now I'm just kind of going over that in micron pen, a smaller tip, anywhere from 2 down to 1, 2. You could do even smaller, but I kind of like 1, 2, and 3 for just thin word art letters like this. And I kind of I like to mix up tall and short letters, straight lines and slants, some script and just some printing, small letters, big letters. I kind of like to mix all that up when I'm writing something on word art, and I'm using those watercolor doodles of the sun and the moon as the actual words in the word art. So instead of writing out the word sun, there's the watercolor doodle of the sun, and instead of writing out the word moon, there's the word art, just the watercolor art of the actual moon there. So I hope you like it. This is basically it. It's a super simple page. When I sat back to look at it right here, I realized that the words "the one," I wanted them to kind of stand out a little bit more. So I came back in and I added an extra line, kind of doubled the vertical lines, left-hand vertical lines on those letters. They just kind of pop a little bit more, especially when you can look at it up close. It adds a little bit more dimension to it. But that's basically it. Do not fear, the one who rules the sun and the moon are on your side. Here's what I used. This is Heavenly Miracles on devotioninaction.com. Thanks.